Alright, what's up guys? Today I am going to discuss my Twisted Tracklist version of Recovery by Eminem. This is one of my favorite Eminem albums. I do think that it is very good. It has a lot of really great songs on it, but I do think that a lot of people, including myself, are kind of thrown off because there's a lot of radio hits and pop collaborations on the album, so I made a Twisted Tracklist for it, which I do have to bring up on my phone for this episode because I do not know it by heart because it is a 19 track album, I'm pretty sure. So without further ado, here we go. Let's start it. I call this Twisted Tracklist Recovery Reorder just because I like what is it? Words that start with the same letter. It's a language arts term. I can't think of it right now. Tupac did it in one of his songs. I like that. That's one of my favorite things to do. But anyway, here we go. Without further ado, here is Recovery Reorder. So my intent with this Twisted Track List was to put this album in a way where I could listen to it all the way through, because the way that it is presented on the actual album, I've never been able to do. You know, you get to like track. Well, first off, I just think the album is entirely out of conceptual order. I don't understand why some of the songs were placed where they were. I don't think it flows very well, but I also have a hard time getting through the actual album as well because of the fact that there's so many pop collaborations, so every time another pop song comes up, it just gets really old. And that's no disdain to the album. I think that it's a great album. I really do. It is, you know, as I said, it's probably in my top. Well, Eminem only has 10 albums, but it's just outside my top 5 albums of his. You know, like I said, it's a great album. Probably like a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 album. You know, all together. But I just felt like it needed a bit of reworking. So once again, I know I keep saying it, but without actual further ado this time, here we go. The first 4. I think 4. Let me check. Ah, no, there's no track list on the back of this because it's just Eminem again. All right, I'm gonna go based off of memory. Actually, let me pull up the actual album real quick, and then I'll kind of compare it real quick. That's my bad, guys. Yeah, okay, I was wrong. So it's a good thing I did that. Now let me find the one that I was just in. Of course it flies off the screen after I don't want it to fly off the screen. The first 5 songs on this album I kept in original order because I don't have a problem with the first 5 songs. I think that they all flow very well. It's the transition from White Trash Party to Going Through Changes that always throws me off. And once again, that's no disdain because White Trash Party and Going Through Changes are both great songs. Going Through Changes is actually one of my favorite Eminem songs. It's just, there's no flow. So after White Trash Party, I put in the song So Bad because I feel like it fits that theme that he kind of starts in White Trash Party. And then I went off into a little bit of the pop aspect of the album with Seduction, No Love, and Love the Way You Lie. Just because putting those 3 there, you know, for me, Seduction and No Love are songs that I can usually bear. I'll hit skip every once in a while, but you know, if they pop on and I'm kind of in the mood for it, I'll be able to listen through them. But Love the Way You Lie is one that I very rarely ever cannot skip. And it's, you know, once again, no disdain, no unliking to that song. It's just, it was overplayed so much. So my idea with putting those 3 songs after So Bad and in the order that they are is so if you're listening to it and you can't get through those songs, you can go skip, skip, skip. And they veto into my favorite song on the album, one of my favorite Eminem songs of all time, Spacebound, which is, you know, a great song. But it also ties into what the previous 3 songs, Seduction, No Love, and Love the Way You Lie, kind of go over. So with that, you kind of have 4 songs that kind of have their own little conceptual order, and they kind of get capped off with Spacebound. And then I went into Almost Famous, once again a great song, and I think that it kind of, it veers away from something that he's trying, it veers away from the previous 4 songs, because it's about something entirely different, but you know, I think it flows well still. So I went into Almost Famous, which is him discussing his career, and then I went into Going Through Changes, because Going Through Changes very much so is him reflecting his personal life, but he also discusses his career in it. And a big part of Going Through Changes is him talking about the death of Proof. So I put You're Never Over, which is a song dedicated to Proof, where he's kind of commemorating his life after going through changes. And if you listen to Going Through Changes and then You're Never Over immediately after that, it's kind of like Eminem at his lowest point going to his highest point. And I really like that because, you know, it's called recovery, so that's something I thought was a very important theme to kind of put in there. Then there's a song called 25 to Life that I put after You're Never Over. And a lot of people would probably, if you know what 25 to Life is, a lot of people would probably ask me why I didn't put that with Seduction, No Love, Love the Way You Lie, and Spacebound, which are kind of his love songs on the album. 25 to Life is written as if it's a love song, but if you actually listen to the lyrics, it's actually him writing it towards hip-hop. Like, he's writing about a bad breakup, but it's actually him dissing the state of hip-hop and the fact that hip-hop is not respecting him the way that it should be. Kind of like, once again, I'm drawing a blank, but Tupac made a song that was basically exactly the same. After 25 to Life, I went with Not Afraid, because Not Afraid, it was such a big hit from this album, and I just felt like it should be closer to the end of the album, and I feel like it kind of encapsulates like everything that he's trying to say before that song in this track list that I've made. So I thought it went well there, and it also flows really well. After Not Afraid, you have Cinderella Man, because Cinderella Man, once again, is kind of capping off a lot of things that he said in this album. Like, it kind of goes back to Going Through Changes with his overdose, and, you know, it's basically, you know, once again, it's him recovering. And then after Cinderella Man, I have the original ending song of the album intact, which is just called Untitled, because you can tell that that was very much so a song that Eminem kind of just had sitting in the vault, or had done for the album. If I had to guess, probably started for the album, but didn't see really a need to finish it, or a liking to it that much, so he kind of threw it on there as a bonus surprise hidden track. So I felt that that fit best at the end of the album, also because at the end of Untitled he does say something about the album being done, if I remember correctly. So with this twisted track list, I really was just kind of going for a more natural flow for the album, I guess, if that makes some sense. And I think I kind of encapsulated it pretty well. Once again, like always, I'll put the link in the description, and I hope you guys check it out, because once again, it is a great album. You know, the artwork alone is awesome. You know, once again, I probably wouldn't place it in my top 5 of his albums, but it's right outside of the top 5. And I really do recommend anyone who, you know, maybe didn't like the album or got veered away from it because of the pop collabs, to attempt to listen to the track list that I've made, because like I said, a majority of them you can skip, and I feel like it flows a lot better than the actual album's track list, where it's pop collab, oh I don't like that, skip, and then you got a good song, maybe another good song, and then oh another pop collab, no, you know, it to me, and I'm sure to other people too, it really throws me off when I continuously have to skip when there's numerous good songs in between. It makes the album a lot less coherent and pleasant to sit with. So that was my whole intent with making this album into a twisted track list feature, and I really hope you guys check it out if you haven't heard this album. One thing I kind of want to do at the end of all these twisted track lists, if I can remember to, is kind of name off some of my favorite songs on the album. So maybe if you guys haven't heard it, you can kind of check out those songs. So some really great songs on this album are On Fire, which is a great song. So Bad is pretty funny. It's classic Slim Shady. Going Through Changes, like I said, one of the best songs from Eminem's career, I would say. Same with Spacebound. Spacebound was one of my first Eminem songs, and it's always sat with me. You know, he really puts his heart out there in that song. God, there's Not Afraid was probably actually my very first Eminem song, so there's always going to be a special place in my heart for that song. I do think that it has been overplayed, and it was overplayed, but it's a great song. And You're Never Over is also super good. 25 to Life I would also rank among, or along. I think both words would fit there. Among my favorite songs in this album. So if you guys don't know if you guys aren't huge on Eminem, I suppose would be the best way to word it. If you guys aren't huge on Eminem and you want to kind of just pick out the songs that I really recommend on that album, go back to what I just said like a minute ago, if even, and listen to what I just said a minute ago, and listen to those songs. Alright. Have a great one.